Guys, in this video, I want to talk about the concept of value and specifically your own value, the value that is placed on what you provide. So this can be in relationship to your work or business, in relation to money, because money in our society is the uh, way that we express value. So the more expensive something is, the more valuable it is. So then this idea of experiencing difficulty in receiving the value for the things that you offer. And oftentimes, like for myself, I experience shame asking for money for my services, for example. It's very hard. It's easy for me to give. It's very difficult for me to ask for something in return. So I did some exploration, did a process in which I had some clarity around this, and I want to share this with you. So if you notice yourself experiencing shame asking for your worth, so for example, asking for a raise or raising your prices for services, or if somebody forgets to pay you for your services, um, reaching out to them and reminding them to pay you. So the underneath all of this is our deep-seated beliefs about our value and ultimately value of our love. Because when we place time into something, when we place our efforts into something, when we place our skill into something, that is an expression of our um, essentially our love, right? Um, and where does this all come from? And if you can think back to your childhood, where a lot of these things come from, and then also maybe look at your parents' history when it comes to receiving money or asking for money or valuing their time, you may start to, maybe remember what it was like. How was the love that you gave reciprocated? Um, how was the effort that you provided or that you gave was recognized? What was it like for you to ask for money from your parents, and what was their response? Oftentimes, they may not say it out loud, but the child experiences that. So they can feel like they're a burden. They can feel that how dare they ask for money? How because money is hard to come by. And so you start to get all of these beliefs around money and receiving, that if I ask for money, that I should feel bad, that I should give without asking. And so it creates an imbalance because of those feelings of shame that get locked in us. And so then when we try to build a business, or when we lend someone money, or when we offer service and then present an invoice, um, all these feelings of shame come up. And so I want to give you a little bit of concept, perhaps, that the value of what you're providing, if you feel shame of asking for money for your time and effort and expertise, ask yourself, where are you placing the judgment of your value? So who's actually setting the price for the value? Um, and for myself, it was the client. So if a client valued my time for this amount of money, then I felt that that's how much my efforts were worth. And oftentimes I was even afraid to raise my prices or ask for more money, even though the client is happy to pay that amount. And that's because I was afraid that I would receive this angry shame. And where this angry shame comes is actually uh, from our childhood, oftentimes. And that's where it came from me, because asking for money triggered fear within my parents. And so I learned very quickly not to ask for money. Because if I ask for money, I'm going to be rejected. I'm going to be attacked, shamed. I'm going to be abandoned because my parents, would feel overwhelmed and just shut down, or even feel shamed of not having money. And then being on the receiving end as a sensitive child, that's a lot to hold. So it's very important to recognize when you're dealing with this is that you're dealing with your inner child, and your inner child who had those experiences and those beliefs that really set in. And so when you're interacting and having these um, exchanges, right, where you make a clear offer, um, or perhaps even have a donation-based practice, and recognize that people are not paying you on time, or they're not valuing your work, or they're paying you less. Um, One thing that most people don't recognize is that a client or a customer has a choice to choose you as a provider. You also have a choice whether to work with this client or customer or not. And so imagine for a moment that if you believe within yourself that you have a certain amount of value attached to, whatever you're providing, but you yourself are not valuing that, you're going to attract a customer or a client who's going to mirror the degree of value that you feel within yourself. And so when you start to challenge those beliefs, and you can do that by raising prices to an uncomfortable level, right at the edge of your comfort, right? So kind of finding that place where you're still grounded in your body, but you're kind of fearful or nervous, or maybe that shame is coming up, and you put it out there. Because what you're doing now is you're saying, there's more value to my time. You're challenging that internal belief. And so all those emotions start to come up to the surface. And then you get a chance to feel through them. But also you get a chance to get a different reflection. If somebody pays you a higher amount for your time, where you didn't believe that that was the value that you held, that's going to challenge your beliefs, right? And then also um, un like unwind, untangle yourself from having to prove your value to your customer or client, that you have to convince them that you are valuable, right? Love should never be convincing. You are offering yourself as you are. So you can explain what you're offering. You can present it. You can, uh, like essentially clarify certain confusions, right? You can um, make an agreement around it as long as it feels good for you. But you don't have to kind of force yourself onto the customer or client, because then it feels unbalanced, right? Just like when a client is trying to undersell you, right? Undervalue you, right? And then you feel that resentment. Uh, the customer or a client also feels resentment if you kind of push your services on them, and they clearly don't want to pay that much, and so it creates that imbalance. And so it's a kind of a codependent dynamic between the two. Now that they're expecting a lot from you, you feel that pressure, or on the other hand, you're giving more than you feel that you're receiving back, right? So it's very important to kind of look back and explore where these dynamics came from in your childhood, right? Like, what was it like if you presented something, if you did something for your parents, or if you offered your love to your parents, if you did some did a favor, not just your parents, but any kind of significant experiences. What were some of those experiences reflected back as far as beliefs, right? So um, around reciprocation. Now, this can also transfer to loving relationships. So, for example, if you feel imbalanced in a loving relationship, if you're always doing something for your partner, if you're always caretaking them, if you're always solving their problems, or you're the one working and they're not working, or uh, you know, you're the one who's always um, uh, taking action and making the relationship fun or interesting, right? And the other person's kind of like being passive in it. So um, that also is a reflection of the value that is internally inside of you, and as far as relationships. So if you're giving all of this love and value to the other person and they're not reciprocating, and you continue to give that, now that is a belief that you have around your own value. And until you change that belief around your own value, you're not going to experience a difference outside of you, right? So it's always going to be a one-sided relationship. So just like with money, how do you challenge that, right? Is that you start to pull back the amount that you give. And then if you really connect with this unconditional giving, let yourself feel that you're giving and the person isn't valuing what you're giving, right? Whether it's your service, whether it's your time, whether it's your care and love and presence, uh, and the other person is not recognized, right? Because ultimately, you need to place that your expression of love against a mirror that reflects that value, right? And in order to do that, you need to start to look at how you value your time and love, and how you are placing yourself in a position with others who um, don't value what you're providing and what you're giving, what you're offering. So challenging that can significantly shift your abundance, your relationship harmony and balance, and avoid a lot of those one-sided, narcissistic, ungrateful situations where you just build resentment and feel unappreciated. At the end of the day, it is also up to you whether you engage with the people, business, the relationship that you're engaging with. At the end of the day, it's still your choice. And if that is not reflecting what you feel that your value is, challenge that belief and start raising the bar and start noticing what emotions come and feel through those emotions and make space for a new reality. So thank you for your attention. I hope that helps, and I'll see you in my next video.